What's going on, everybody? This is Bobby G, and after a long absence, quite a few months actually, this is going to be the first episode of Bobby's G's Book Review Season 2. And I'm going to start this season off by a book I just recently finished called The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. It's a collection of quite a few spiels he gave, so to speak, not to be confused with Saturday Spiel, but but it's got some really good stuff in here. I mean, it's got some really good chapters. It's composited, and it was edited by one of his proteges, or one of his pupils, so it's kind of nice. And you know, it's just chock full of just good stuff. And one of the particular chapters that it has in here, you have the introduction by Walter Hooper, and then you have the preface to the original edition by C.S. Lewis himself, and then you have the different chapters, which include The Weight of Glory, Learning in Wartime, which is an interesting one, considering he himself is a World War I vet, for those who don't know. Why I'm Not a Pacifist, which is interesting. Transposition. Is theology poetry? Which is interesting. The Inner Ring, which deals with being kind of in inner circles and so on, and some really interesting stuff. Membership is my particular favorite chapter, and I'll get to that in a second. On Forgiveness and A Slip of the Tongue are the chapters. Membership in particular happens to be my particular favorite chapter out of all these, although I would say The Inner Ring is a close second. If you get a chance to read this book, you'll understand why. But I just want to read a little bit from the chapter on membership, if I may, and just kind of give you an understanding as to why it's one of my favorite chapters. It says here in the book, and I quote, "There is a crowd of busybodies, self-appointed masters of ceremonies, whose life is devoted to destroying solitude wherever solitude still exists. They call it, quote, taking the young people out of themselves, or waking them up, or overcoming their apathy." Sound familiar? He continues, "If an Augustine or a Vaughan, a Traherne, or a Wordsworth should be born into the modern world, the leaders of a youth organization would soon cure him. If a really good home, such as the home of Alcinous, or Arete in the Odyssey, or the Rostovs in War and Peace, or any of Charlotte M. Young's families existed today, it would be denounced as bourgeois, and every engine of destruction will be leveled against it. And even where planners fail and some is left physically by himself, the wireless has seen to it that he will be, in a sense not intended by Scipio, nevertheless alone than when alone. We live, in fact, in a world starved for solitude, silence, privacy, and therefore starved of meditation and true friendship," which I find interesting. He continues on just a little bit more. "That religion should be relegated to solitude in such an age as this is then paradoxical. But it is also dangerous for two reasons. In the first place, when the modern world says to us aloud, 'You may be religious when you are alone,' it adds under its breath, 'I will see to it that you are never alone.' To make Christianity a private affair, while banishing all privacy, is to relegate it to the rainbow's end, or to the Greek kalends." Interesting. He also says later on, at the end of this particular chapter, he goes on to have a very interesting finishing statement. He says, and I quote, "Neither the individual nor the community as popular thought understands them can inherit eternal life. Neither the natural self nor the collective mass, but a new creature. It's a very interesting chapter out of the entire book, but I would look at it in tandem with the chapter on the inner ring, as well as Is Theology Poetry. It's probably one of the best works I've read of C.S. Lewis to date, and I've read quite a few. I've read Mere Christianity, I've read the Screwtape Letters, I've read The Great Divorce, and many, many others. Letters to Malcolm, Present Concerns, etc., etc., etc. And I have a few more books, which I hopefully will be getting to here sometime soon, which include A Grief Observed, as well as The Problem of Pain. And I think it is a book that is very timely for the days that we live in. You heard me quote, just from the chapter on membership as well. If any of that sounds familiar to you, what makes it, to me, more interesting is that C.S. Lewis was giving these spiels from between the 1940s and 1950s. And the fact that that piece that I just read from Chapter of Membership speaks to today in so many levels, if you heard what I said, you understand what I mean. It's very, very interesting, and it really shows, I think, that it is true what King Solomon said in the book of Ecclesiastes when he said that there is nothing new under the sun. And I think what he meant by that is with regards to human behavior. And I think C.S. Lewis's book, The Weight of Glory, really understands and really helps to expound upon or explain what that looks like. And even the first chapter, The Weight of Glory, what it really is going to be in terms of being in heaven and what the weight of that really holds for us, to those of us who are people of faith. If you're not a people of faith, I would still recommend reading this book. It just speaks to a lot of present concerns, which, funny enough, is the name of one of his other books. But it really shows how important we need to be paying attention to certain things that are going on in our society today. And it's just, you know, he's one of that timeless authors. If you haven't read anything of C.S. Lewis, I recommend you read The Weight of Glory. And also, if that satisfies the curious mind that you have, I recommend continuing on and finding some of his other books as well. My name is Bobby G. This is the first episode, Season 2, Bobby's Book Review. Lord willing, as with Saturday Spiel, I will see you next week, unless you listen to my spiel, in which case I will see you hopefully this Saturday. Peace.